As the sun sets over Fez, students gather in its ancient Medina, the Old City. They sit around tiled fountains and courtyards, poring over books. Others pray at the city's many mosques or browse its bustling souks. And everywhere, the low hum of life echoes through narrow streets, past leather dyers and weavers, down alleys fragrant with spices and citrus blossoms, all within the shade of orange, lemon, and olive groves. Here, the air buzzes with 1,000 stories and 1,000 futures. But 1,200 years ago, this wasn't just a Moroccan city. It was a cradle of knowledge, home to the world's first university. Because before Oxford and Cambridge, before Bologna and Paris, before even Baghdad and Karbala, a pioneering African woman named Fatima al-Fihri established the world's first purpose-built institution of higher learning, a beacon of scholarship known today as Al-Qarawiyyin. And it's still open. After centuries of being erased from world history, the legendary African city of Timbuktu isn't the only place rewriting our understanding of pre-colonial Africa. In fact, this new narrative is emerging from Morocco. The year is 859 CE. After decades traveling across North Africa, Fatima el-Houri returns to her hometown of Fez. She'd witnessed a growing Muslim community eager to learn, but lacking an institution to serve them. So when she passed away, she left a remarkable endowment to the city, a mosque, a community service, and something unprecedented, a madrasa, a school for advanced theological studies. What became known as Al-Qarawiyyin Mosque and University opened its doors to men and women seeking to study and debate topics like astronomy, medicine, law, theology, and languages. Though details are scarce due to the destruction of countless historical records in colonial Africa, what we do know is extraordinary. Thanks to surviving manuscripts, we know that Fatima envisioned this madrasa as a true center of scholarship, attracting some of the greatest minds of the Islamic Golden Age. One of the most famous was the polymath Ibn Khaldun, whose groundbreaking work on universal history pioneered the social science of historiography. He studied in Fez before heading to Cairo to teach, shaping the future of how we understand history itself. Though Fatima endowed the school with funds and books, she didn't dictate its teachings, leaving the curriculum entirely up to the scholars. This spirit of freedom allowed the school to thrive, with the historian Leo Africanus writing of its vast library filled with countless volumes. But it wasn't just about accumulating books. It was about sharing them. As Arab traveler Ivan Fadlan noted, students could borrow scrolls free of charge, ensuring everyone had access to knowledge. It was here that Maimonides, one of the most influential Jewish philosophers of all time, studied under the renowned astronomer and mathematician Isaac Israeli. Together, they shaped the trajectory of Jewish thought, laying the groundwork for harmonious coexistence between faiths in medieval Islam. Al-Qarawiyyin wasn't just a place of learning, it was a melting pot of cultures and ideas. Thanks to its proximity to the Mediterranean, Fez became a hub of international trade during this period, drawing merchants, diplomats, and scholars from across the known world. People traveled from as far away as France and Germany to study in its hallowed halls. One such student was the aforementioned Leo Africanus, who later served as an advisor to popes and kings across Europe. When he described Al-Qarawiyyin to Western audiences, his words ignited their imaginations. Yet for all its fame, we know remarkably little about its founder, thanks in no small part to the systematic erasure of African history during the colonial period. Like so many of our stories, this one begins with an act of creation. An act so profound it changed the course of history. That's why I'm so excited to partner with Masterworks, whose mission is to make high-end art collecting accessible to everybody. In a world often dominated by men, Fatima al-Fihri stands tall as a beacon of female empowerment. But her story doesn't end with the founding of Al-Qarawiyyin. It's a tale woven through centuries of patronage and access. Despite living in an era when women's roles were often limited, she defied convention. Her legacy lives on through countless women patrons across Africa and the Arab world who ensured the continuation of knowledge through libraries, endowments, and schools. In a society where women's access to education was often restricted, she inadvertently pioneered the way. By establishing a center of learning open to all, regardless of gender, she paved the way for generations of African women scholars. In the vibrant city of Tunis, just 300 miles from Fez, another remarkable woman. Afia Anarisha made headlines last year after receiving the prestigious Sharjah Prize for her invaluable contributions to preserving ancient manuscripts. Her dedication to cataloging and protecting these historical treasures sheds light on the pivotal role women have played in knowledge preservation throughout history. Like many other African cities, Tunis boasts a rich history of female scholars and patrons. One shining example is Sit el-Mana, also known as the Lady of the Light, whose family's support of knowledge helped shape the intellectual landscape of the region. These women, along with countless others, exemplify the enduring impact of Fatima al-Fihri's pioneering spirit. As scholar Nadia Mariama Pelota points out, women have long been at the forefront of knowledge production in Africa. By highlighting their contributions, we not only honor our shared heritage, but also inspire future generations. Situated at the crossroads of three continents, Africa's role as a hub of knowledge exchange during this period cannot be overstated. Through the trans-Saharan trade routes, ideas, goods, and people flowed from West Africa to the Middle East. Meanwhile, along the Mediterranean coast, North Africa served as a bridge between the Arab world and Europe. Cities like Fez, Cairo, Cordoba, and Seville became vital hubs where scholars from different cultures gathered, traded ideas, and pushed the boundaries of human knowledge. This exchange was particularly evident in the field of mathematics, with scholars from North Africa introducing the works of Greek mathematicians to the Arab world. Al-Qarawiyyin became a key stop along this intellectual Silk Road. Students and teachers alike carried knowledge from one great center of learning to the next, ensuring that ideas continued to flourish. Among the notable alumni of Al-Qarawiyyin was the philosopher Averroes, whose commentary on Aristotle's work profoundly influenced medieval Europe. His ideas, carried by merchants and travelers, sparked the European Renaissance. And while it's easy to see the influence of Islamic thought on medieval Europe, it's equally important to recognize the reverse flow of knowledge. European scholars brought to the Islamic world included the works of Roman philosophers and Greek scientists, thereby enriching the curriculum of institutions like Al-Qarawiyyin. This fusion of cultures and ideas created a dynamic intellectual environment where innovation and discovery thrived. So why did Western history sideline Fatima al-Fihri and Al-Qarawiyyin? Part of the answer lies in the rise of European colonialism, which systematically erased narratives that challenged the Eurocentric worldview. As colonial powers consolidated their control, they often suppressed or distorted histories that threatened the dominant narrative of Western superiority. Moreover, the transition from oral to written histories meant that many accounts of pre-colonial Africa, including those celebrating trailblazers like Fatima, were lost or marginalized. However, as African nations gained independence and the global narrative began to shift, scholars and institutions took notice. Today, Al-Qarawiyyin stands proudly recognized by UNESCO as the oldest continuously operating university in the world. Its enduring legacy serves as a testament to the power of knowledge and the transformative impact of a single individual's vision. Why does it matter that we set the record straight and celebrate African excellence? Because our origins matter. They shape our identity, our aspirations, and our potential. When we erase or diminish narratives of African brilliance, we inadvertently reinforce harmful stereotypes and limit the dreams of countless individuals. By reclaiming these stories and amplifying African voices, we challenge the status quo and pave the way for a more inclusive and accurate portrayal of our shared human history. The celebrated author Chinua Achebe once said, "Until the lions have their say, the story will always glorify the hunter." For too long, the narrative of early higher education has centered on European institutions like Oxford and Cambridge, perpetuating a narrative that diminishes the significant contributions of African scholars. But as we close this chapter, let us remember the words of Mahatma Gandhi, who wisely said, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others." Like Gandhi, Fatima dedicated her life to serving her community, leaving an indelible mark on history. And so, as you reflect on this journey through time, ask yourself, what role can I play in shaping a better future? How can I, like Fatima, dedicate myself to the betterment of my community and the world? Knowledge's oldest home stands in Africa. To ensure that Africa's newest histories reach every corner of the continent and beyond, Subscribe to History Rewritten.